I'm Sydney.
And I'm Julie.
And this is Restaurant and Retail Revelations. Listeners, welcome back to another episode of Restaurant and Retail Revelations, a podcast that spotlights key players in the restaurant and retail industries. And for anyone new to the show, this podcast is made possible by Revel Systems, which is the provider of the leading cloud-native POS and business management platform. For disclosure, Revel is also the employer of your esteemed podcast co-hosts.
It is. And in this episode, we are excited to chat with Kathryn Bleeker, Director of Marketing for Ziggi's Coffee, which just so happens to be an amazing Revel client as well. And Ziggi started as a small coffee shop back in 2004 and has since grown to multiple drive-through and coffee house locations spanning the US. So we'll get some more insights on the brand story from Kathryn today, but we do know that from the beginning, Ziggi's mission has been simple: to not only provide a superior cup of coffee, but also superior service to its customers.
Yeah, I can't wait to learn more about the history and the latest happenings at Ziggi's. And not just because I'm a coffee addict or I guess we'll say enthusiast.
Yeah, enthusiast. I think that works. We are certainly crazy about our coffee here at Revel. And for any listeners who also love a great cup of joe, we invite you to top off your favorite morning mug as we hear more from Kathryn. Let's jump in.
Kathryn, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. And to kick things off, I'd love to start with just your take on what being the director of marketing at Ziggi's Coffee entails, and maybe a couple of highlights about your day-to-day.
So I have been the director of marketing at Ziggi's Coffee now for about 6.5 years. And I started as a customer first, just having grown up in Longmont where Ziggi's was founded. And when the opportunity to come work for the company opened up, I knew I had to take it, just having fallen in love with the brand since the beginning. Being a part of the marketing team every day is just really exciting and presents itself with fun new challenges. We are constantly trying to come up with the next campaign to just keep pushing the brand forward. And by we, I mean our amazing team, which consists of creative, digital, and communication specialists that we all work together to develop and implement all of our company-wide marketing campaigns and brand initiatives. And that really can be anything that you may see from store level, such as our mini boards and point of purchase materials to what's on our social channels and more.
You sound very busy. We love to hear that. And how lucky are you that you get to talk about coffee all day? And Kathryn, I'd also love to give our listeners a bit of Ziggi's history, both background and brand evolution. So kind of to start, where did the name Ziggi's come from?
Yeah, definitely. So I like to think that the story started, it's really rooted in just the entrepreneurial spirit of our company. It started when our founders, Brandon and Cameron, opened the first location in Longmont, Colorado with a business partner. The original name was Gizzy's back then. And then when they started the coffee shop, opened it up, the partnership just shifted and they had to part ways with who they were in business with. So at the time, the partner wanted to keep the name. And so as a new coffee shop just getting going, as you can imagine, Brandon and Cameron didn't have a ton of resources available at the time. So they got creative because they wanted to keep the coffee shop going and stay in business. So they had to come up with a new name. And they did so by teaming up with their coffee roasting partners at Coda, who have actually been with Ziggi's since the beginning, to rearrange the lettering of Gizzy's. And they actually helped them purchase another G to add to the sign, which allowed the name Ziggi's to come to fruition.
Okay, I love that. I'm literally picturing those signs on the side of the road where you can like insert the letters and just kind of a rehashing of that. That's very scrappy and incredibly entrepreneurial, which is in keeping with the whole startup and vision, it sounds like. And I would love to hear, like, so do you have the scoop on why the founders, which I believe the last name is pronounced Knudsons, is that correct?
Knudsons, yep.
Knudsons, I was close. And why they wanted to start a coffee shop specifically?
So Brandon and Kathryn met in college on the West Coast playing basketball and were actually studying other career paths at the time. But while they were in college, Kathryn was actually working at a coffee shop, and they felt inspired by the success and the energy that she felt working there. Their families, their parents as well, have entrepreneurial backgrounds. So they finally made the decision to just shift career paths and go into business for themselves, wanting to create something similar that Kathryn was experiencing by working at the coffee shop. And so the first step on their journey to establishing Ziggi's was moving out to Colorado, where Brandon had a sister living at the time. And they were living with her, trying to find the opportunity. And they started by opening a small coffee shop and / deli shop that they were managing. And during the day, they would both work the shop, and then Brandon would go off and work at an ice cream plant throughout the night, and then come back to the shop, meeting Kathryn with their first son in tow to open the store. Sometimes he'd sleep for a few hours in the back and then just get up and serve the morning rush. And that's how they eventually were able to find business partners, which led them to opening the Ziggi's in Longmont.
Wow, very cool. And they both sound like two very passionate individuals. So, Kathryn, when do you think these entrepreneurial founders really realized that they had a scalable concept?
So like we said, Ziggy started in 2004. So they just had the one coffee shop in Longmont. But again, based on Kathryn's experience on the West Coast, wanting to open a drive-through concept, that was still top of mind. So in 2010, they started to embark on that journey again by opening their first drive-through only concept in Longmont. So they had the coffee shop that they had started in 2004, and then 2010 opened the drive-through. And then from there, they opened other drive-through and cafe locations that were their own. And through opening their other stores, they really started to create more processes and procedures that they could test out. They could see like, hey, are we able to replicate this? And they really began to give more ownership to the managers who were running those stores in order to be able to test out those processes and procedures. And so once they were realizing, hey, we can do this, they did try out licensing a store. And through that, again, just learning through how they could refine all the processes and procedures, everything it would take to run a Ziggi's. And once they felt confident in doing that for nearly a decade, we knew it was time to launch the franchise program, which started in 2016 and paved the way for others to be able to join in the Ziggi's family.
That's so cool. And I really do love a founder-driven concept, because there's so much of that heart and passion that seems to continue on even after you've adopted more of a franchise model. And I'm curious to know, like, which elements from that original startup do franchise locations retain today, whether it's, the drive-through focus or maybe some different personal touches. What would you say?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both of those things. I think definitely the menu, while it has evolved over the years, there are still many of the staples that remain the same from the very first location back in 2004, such as our peanut butter mocha, which we put our own spin on, and we actually make with real peanut butter. So it's a super yummy chocolatey peanut butter delight. And then we have our signature campfire cocoa as well. That's our own unique spin on hot chocolate. So those staples, but I think more than that, like you were saying, is just those little touches and things from the beginning, and them as founders starting it. It's just our unwavering commitment to making Ziggi's feeling like a home for anyone who stops by. Brandon and Kathryn really built the foundation of the business on trying to make genuine connections with every customer who would stop by. And that's definitely a value that we still instill at all of our stores to this day.
Yum. Those signature drinks sound like really strong differentiators alone. And on that note, I'll throw some numbers out there. There's over 65,000 coffee and snack shops, businesses in the US alone today, as of 2022. So I'm curious, what do you think sets Ziggi's apart from the competition in a pretty crowded coffee space?
Yeah, so we definitely try to operate with a people/service first mentality. Our promise is to be the best part of your day with an emphasis on as that's what really helps us to make the experience for our customers that much more meaningful and personal. And then really that promise trickles down to our service. We try to meet the customers where they're at for the day. So whatever that looks like to them, maybe it's someone who's on the go who just wants a quick interaction, or the neighborhood from down the street who loves to catch up with our baristas while getting their drink. We just really try to cater each experience so that we can try to create a positive moment within someone's day. And that promise also goes to our product. So as you mentioned, we try to have a diverse menu with a variety of categories, both for coffee drinkers, but also for non-coffee drinkers. A few years ago, we introduced a new kids zone line. So really trying to make Ziggi's a place for families to come, not only for, the adults to get their favorite beverage, but for kiddos as well. And then we have sugar-free alternative milks and then gluten-free options. And again, just rooted in personal experience. Brandon and Cameron, our founders, their son has celiac. And so it was really important that we as a brand are able to tap into that and give people with that, similar dietary need options as well out there.
Oh, it sounds like there's a little something for everyone. And Julie mentioned this at the top of the show. We're both coffee enthusiasts. And as someone who, like coffee, my morning coffee is part of my daily ritual. It's centering, it's kind of this special moment for myself before I dive into whatever is next. And I have to know, what's your go-to Ziggi's order as someone who's so close to the brand?
Definitely. So I'm usually just a traditional black iced coffee gal, but every now and then I like to change it up and top it with vanilla cold foam for a slightly sweet treat on it. So we introduced cold foam a while ago, and it's been a big hit. It's something that you can top with our iced coffee or a cold brew. So that's typically my order.
Not a bad order at all. And you touched on Ziggi's drive-through model being a really big deal for you guys. I want to come back to that. I know several of your locations are exclusively drive-through models that don't have any dine-in option. And I'm curious what the rationale is behind that model. And then if it positioned you guys well to weather the evolving storm that is COVID.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, the desire to have drive-through started from the beginning and just Cameron's experience working at one on the West Coast. But really, the drive-through model allows us to be, super fast and convenient within our service. It gets people in and out. And then, of course, it really did help us during the pandemic because I think many brands were trying to implement some of those safer to go options, and we already had ours established. So there was really little disruption in us having to shift our business model during that time. We did add some features like delivery and mobile ordering as well, to only provide more options for our customers to still get their daily cup of coffee. But yes, having the drive-through model already in place really helped us be able to withstand and also just see exponential growth during a period where it was challenging. And then the drive-through as well, lending itself back to just kind of the service and everything we were talking about is because we had that model, many customers wanted that sense of normalcy, and we were still able to serve them. And that meant a lot to, not for our staff, but our customers as well, and still being able to provide our service to people.
Yeah, for sure. You were able to continue to service them and their routine, which especially in COVID times, I think that had to be such a tremendous thing for folks. So there's other storms that are continuing to hit the service industry and others. And a couple of those are the ongoing labor challenges and then supply chain disruptions as well. How have Ziggi's shops handled those?
Yeah, so first, we have an incredible operations team that works to ensure that all of our processes and procedures are running smoothly within our stores. So they are constantly on the phone with our vendors and checking in, and thanks to their proactive efforts, we've been able to pretty much stay ahead of a lot of what's happening right now and what we're seeing within the industry. Of course, there's times we have to pivot and shift, but because they are so on top of it and we have those processes in place where we're working closely with them, we're able to try to stay one step ahead of it. And if we might be out of something, we can come up with solutions a little bit more quicker to be able to continue serving our customers in that way. And then, as far as what we're seeing from a labor standpoint, again, just speaking to COVID time, and again, the value of having the drive-through already in place is that we were able to, many of our franchise locations and our stores as well, were able to keep people employed, which was really important. And we continue to do that just by trying to create a great place to work, which includes giving opportunities and providing opportunities for individuals to really gain hands-on experience through flexible positions and day parts and things like that. So that's definitely been helping us through some of these other storms that have been going on.
That's fantastic. And it really sounds like you guys are a well-oiled machine when it comes to, operations, to marketing, to actually just being on site at these locations. So I'd love to kind of dive into the role technology plays at Ziggi's Coffee. Again, you've already spoke to a lot of the ways it does. I'd also love to pick your brain on if there's any Revel features in particular that kind of help keep your operations just running smoothly at Ziggy shops, anything that stands out.
Yes, technology definitely, we try to incorporate more and more of it as we can, just within our daily operations. And as you mentioned, marketing, everything, it's just becoming the way of the world. And it's important for us to just so that we can continue to keep up with that convenient service that we're talking about, fast, friendly service and everything. And Revel's been great. It's been a great point of sale system for us. The features in particular that do help keep our operations running smoothly, we love that it's an iPad-based system. So that's really helped us remain mobile for our customers and the service experience. We're able to do outside order taking and then just an iPad as well. It's easier to troubleshoot on the spot and in our stores. And then really the biggest thing for us, and a pivotal change that just happened within the company, but the ability Revel has allowed us to be able to integrate with our new mobile app. And so we recently launched a new mobile app that has order ahead features, and we were able to do that with our Revel point of sale system.
We love that. And mobile apps are certainly more and more the way of the world. I mean, that helps you address things like off-premises orders. It helps with service speed. I would imagine maybe there's a loyalty component in there as well.
Yep, there is.
Yeah, love that. Is there anything else you want to address with regards to the app specifically before we talk about maybe some franchising info?
Mm-hmm. So our mobile app launched this month, actually. It launched on April 6th. We previously had a mobile app, but it was a little bit limited. So we were really excited to bring this new one to market. It was an initiative that spanned, a couple years of both our marketing team and our operations team just really working closely together to be able to bring it to life. But it does. It includes, like we said, the order ahead feature, contactless payment. And again, those were really important learnings for us as a brand, going through the pandemic and everything, but being able to have those as long-standing options as well for our customers now. And then, yes, the most exciting feature for us here at Ziggy's is that it features a digital loyalty program, which is something that we have not had up until this point. So we were actually on a paper punch card system, and we were able to transition over to a digital loyalty program where customers can now earn points for every dollar they spend on menu items, including food, which was something that we were not able to do before. So really a game changer for our brand. We're super excited to have it out on market. It's been going really well. And yeah, just being able to give our customers the digital experience that they've been wanting has been really rewarding for us.
For sure. Yeah. I think even just ditching the punch cards for the sake of the weight of your wallet is appreciated, not to mention the other functionality.
Yes, definitely.
So cool. So for anybody who's looking to scratch that entrepreneurial itch on their own, why might they want to consider a Ziggy's franchise location? And what would you say are some of the benefits available to Ziggy's franchisees?
Yeah, so in addition to seeking an opportunity, to really become part of a fast-growing coffee shop concept, it really just goes back to, again, that emphasis we have on this people and service first mentality that I said, we try to instill everywhere within the company. And so if someone really wants to experience an opportunity that is built upon feeling a part of a family and receiving unparalleled support, then, they should consider the Ziggy's franchise opportunity. And then also is just anyone who really wants to leave a legacy and embark on an exciting business adventure by being a part of a growth, as we mentioned, that the Ziggy's is currently experiencing. We're now slated to open in locations in 28 states. So it's just a really exciting time to come on board. And once someone does become a franchisee, they benefit from having just a depth of experience with our corporate team. And we're here to support them, through firsthand and detailed operations and marketing processes and procedures. And those procedures and processes have been developed over the course of nearly 2 decades, starting way back when Brandon and Kathryn started Ziggi's. So there's really a strong system in place to help carry the success of ownership through our franchise opportunity.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty easy sell. And I love that support is kind of at the heart of what you guys offer franchisees. That's always really critical. And I think for anyone listening today, it's very clear that Ziggi's is a super innovative brand. And with that, you're often in the news. And a recent headline was the signing of a milestone 150th franchise deal, which is awesome. And then another highlighted some of the seasonal menu offerings that you guys have for the season of love back for Valentine's Day. So Kathryn, what is up next? Anything listeners should watch for?
Yeah, so there's always something, as I kicked it off, just work alongside an amazing team. We're always trying to think about the next campaign that we can push out alongside our ops team who helps us with product development. So one of those is in the works right now. We're actually really excited to be gearing up to launch a refreshing new product line coming this summer. So we definitely encourage listeners to stay tuned and find out what it's going to be. But again, it's been another initiative we've been in development for months. So we're excited to release it to market. And it's going to be another coffee alternative product category. So again, thinking about our menu and having that diverse options available, this will fit into that category. And then, as we've already talked about, just our mobile app being launched and getting people on that to experience our new digital loyalty program.
I love it. We've got loyalty and apps and menu innovations. And, even back at the top of the episode, talking about just some baseline ingenuity with name changes. So the spirit of creativity truly is alive at Ziggi's. Before we close things out, I want to make sure that we didn't miss anything our listeners may want to note in relations to Ziggi's coffee. So is there anything we haven't asked you about so far that you want to make sure you share?
I don't think so. I think, thank you for providing that recap. It really, sums up, I think, the core of who we are. And, Ziggi's is just truly a family-oriented company, and we have a family-oriented company culture and try to maintain an authentic presence as much as possible within the coffee shop industry. And it's unique that our core corporate team is comprised of many of us that not only have experience within our fields, but have also had a personal connection to Brandon and Kathryn or the Ziggi's brand through the years. So really our dedication and our passion for everything that we do translates and to the decisions we make as a company. And again, we just hope that anyone who interacts with Ziggi's feels the love that we put forth every day for our customers, our communities, and for each other.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kathryn. It's been a delight talking with you today.
You as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Coffee, entrepreneurial spirit, and marketing. These are a few of my favorite things. And it was so awesome getting Kathryn's insights on the great developments at play at Ziggi's.
So true. It was a pleasure talking with Kathryn, and rumor has it that there could be some Ziggi's development here in Georgia in the near future. I know I would love the opportunity to test out that new app firsthand.
Oh, yes, they would certainly have some new app adopters anytime a location opens within driving distance of a coffee-loving reveler. And the app is just the latest in a lot of truly tech-forward and nimble operations happening across Ziggi's locations. I love how their drive-through setup positioned them well, not only to weather some of the COVID challenges, which of course started in 2020, but also to remain that constant part of so many customers' routines. I feel like finding moments of normalcy, especially in the early days of the pandemic, had to be such a blessing for those folks.
I completely agree. And I don't know where I'd be without my morning coffee routine. I think that is a nice positive sentiment to end on as we wrap today's episode. Thanks again to Kathryn for the time and revelations. And to our listeners, thanks for your time and attention too. We invite you to like and subscribe to Restaurant and Retail Revelations on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts so that you never miss an episode. Stay tuned for new guests and fresh content.